Good morning, this is Anya Devine here. I'm an artist and a teacher, and I'm doing a video this morning. I guess this one is this is for my mum. Today in the UK it's Mother's Day, and I also wanted to share this video in honour of all of you for whom today is difficult, for whatever reason. It being Mother's Day, it could be a very difficult day for a lot of you, so this is to encourage you to take care of yourselves as well. Yeah, so thanks for watching. That's a tulip. I'm going to paint a tulip, and I've got a new holder because my other one broke. But there might be a bit of disruption when Maisie finishes her dinner her breakfast, because she may brush past me here and end up shifting the door frame, which the new holder is attached to. So in advance, I apologise for that. Okay, so I just thought a single tulip might be quite a nice thing. And I'm just maybe going to use the top of the page here, I reckon. So I painted this with some gesso earlier this morning, and actually I just put a layer of white acrylic over it too, and it's still a little bit damp, I think. Let me see. As I was setting things up, I knocked over the tulip. The vase went sideways. Okay, I prefer it going that way. I like the kind of curl of the stem and everything. Okay, so I don't actually have any green paint out, so I'm just going to make some green by mixing ultramarine blue, which looks like that, and cadmium yellow, just for starters. I think even just to sketch out the leaf, that would be okay. Maybe a wee bit more yellow though, lemon yellow. I'll see what that's like in there. I think that's okay. Alright, so yeah, so there's a leaf going in that direction. So I'm just heading straight in with the oil paint today. Something like that. And then there's the other channel of the other two leaves. Need to be sure I'm leaving enough room for the tulip flower. Okay, and now maybe this stem might be a good thing to do next. I'm putting a little bit more yellow into that mix, because it's a different shade really, the stem. And I'm quite enjoying the shape of the space between the stem and the leaves. And the tulip flower. So it's lighter. The stem is lighter than the leaves are. Just pick up a bit more of that leaf colour. I actually miss my mum for the garden. She came over a few summers. Well, actually she came over, I think it was in April or May a few years ago, and as my old neighbour Rhoda used to say, your mum's a grafter. She just did all the planted vegetables and ended up painting all the woodwork and planted lovely perennials and things. And all that summer long I had sweet peas every day nearly. You'll see a couple of years ago I was painting sweet peas regularly, and it was from the ones that my mum had planted along by the fence. Gorgeous to have them continually coming after I picked them. Okay. So it's important to me to capture the character of the leaf and the shape of things more really than having an attitude of scientific precision here. Although that's important too. Not scientific, but to feel like it's not just any flower I'm painting here. Okay, so that's that. And I think I'll start on the pink tulip itself now. So I'm going to change brushes. I don't trust myself to have kept that clean enough, to have washed that clean enough. So I'll just use a new brush and make sure that it's clean by trying it out on the paper towel. What was I going to say to you there? The background is actually darker than the leaves and the flower, but I think for simplicity purposes I'm going to just paint. I'm not going to make the background, I'm not going to paint in the background, I don't think. Yeah. I'm going to put a touch of cadmium yellow into the alizarin crimson there, because there's the darkest part of the tulip is enveloped in here, kind of, and that's the colour I'm seeing there. So I want to get something structural fairly early on that I can use as a guide for tone and shape, and just the position of things. So when I was planning this, I was planning this during my meditation, which is really not the point of meditation at all, is it? But anyway, at least I noticed I was planning. So as I was planning it, I was thinking of all the stories I could relate about growing up and things that my mum did that I was really grateful for, looking back especially. We had some magical moments, and I want to relate a few of those now. So one of the first ones was, I remember we all helped one year to bring in, it was barley I think, and for some reason it was being stored in a loft. So we had a guy who would shoot from the trailer, like it was kind of shooting the barley up into the loft, and then we had to move it. It was in a window, like in through the window of this farm building outdoors, and then we all had to, with buckets and wheelbarrows and everything, move it from the space at the window into the adjoining rooms. There was 3 rooms, and so for hours we were there. Like I suppose there would have been, there were 7 of us children, but I suppose maybe there would have been, down as far as my younger brother, myself, and my 2 older sisters, and my younger brother Brendan would have been the ones doing that. Maybe Patrick was as well, I'm not sure if he would have been too young at the time. I'd imagine I was around maybe 8 or 9, I think. Anyway, it was great. Like the neighbours were there as well, helping us. And at the end of it, I mean, I say it was great, but we were in this low-ceilinged room with dust flying everywhere, and our noses and mouths were all clogged up at the end of it. And of course we were filthy. And it was dark by the time we finished. And my memory of it is that it was a full moon. And my mum decided to bundle us all in the car and take us over to Coolmain Beach for a swim. in the dark. I mean, my God, it was such an adventure, you know. I'm going to have difficulty explaining. Oh, amazing. I have difficulty explaining the brightness of the tulip without painting the background, maybe. Let me just see. Anyway, I remember my sister Eileen and myself running into the water. The tide was in fairly full, but it was syrupy black, like treacle black, balsamic. Someone said last night was a balsamic moon. Anyway, it was very dark, and that was really exciting for us. But we were having a good wash. That's the reason we all went over, was to have a wash, like. And I remember splashing the water around and noticing what I suppose now, looking back, it must have been that is a phosphorescence or something. I thought it was just the glitter from the moon, and it was creating this incredible syrupy silver, like on the surface of the water. And when I swished my hand through it, I remember my sister and I looking at each other, Eileen and myself, and being so incredibly like delighted with it. I must ask Eileen if she remembers that. I just thought it was magic, really, especially for us. That's my memory anyway. And so that was one of those magical things that, you know, when I think back, like if I had 7 children, and there would have been a baby in the house too, like my dad would have been obviously in charge, I suppose, there. But, you know, I suppose it was easier than trying to get us all into a bath. But at the same time, it was an inspired move. And I'm not sure I would have had the energy. My mum had great energy to embark on that adventure that hour of the night. But it's one of those things that I'm grateful for, and that it's a magical moment that I think I'll remember for the rest of my life. And it might be one of those that I might summon up on my deathbed to remember the sounds a bit morbid, but just to remember the kind of you know, the quality of living that's available. There was another time walking on the beach with my mum and my Aunt Ellen, and that again was to do with the moon. There was a full moon, and again it was quite dark, and I just remember linking arms and feeling all was well with the world that night. So there we are. I think I will just leave it with without painting the background. There seems to be enough things punctuating the tulip to make it read as tulip. Might need to use a smaller brush now, maybe. So that's that colour. When I half close my eyes, it's not unlike cadmium red, I think. Yeah, that's okay. Cadmium red mixed with white seems to be some of the colour I'm seeing. It's at the edge. So the edge seems to increase, the density of the colour increases at the edge of the petal. I did a Let It Go yoga flow this morning, and I can't get Let It Go song out of my head now. She didn't even sing it, but it was just the words. I enjoyed it quite late, that film, to be honest. I prefer the second one. But there's a big and I can do my best not to belt it out now. So what I'm doing is applying paint in the knowledge that I can lift it off if I'm not happy. I think what I will do is lift it off, you see, in order to carve out the light. So a little bit like I would do in watercolour, where normally in oil paint you might end up using thicker paint for the light, seem to be erring on the side here of using the thicker dark for the... Geez, I just thought maybe my own children might have something planned for me for today. I never thought of that. They probably don't. The thicker paint in the reddish colour I'm using here, and then I can lift it off to lift out the lights. No, they normally are very good, sorry, I should give credit to them. I'm sure Hope will be in touch from Edinburgh later on. Aaron's working today. Okay. Yeah, so I might even darken down in there a little bit more. Introducing a colour that's not really there, but I kind of like that colour. And I wanted to make it a different red. I think the alizarin crimson might work there as well to sharpen up the edge of that bulby part even more. And this is all with a view of coming in and carving a little bit of detail through revealing the light. And of course it was my mum too who encouraged me to do the teaching course. She herself is a teacher, and I think she passed on, although you know it was tough for her teaching. I did also feel that it's a vocation that she kind of embraced. So I'm coming quite a bit darker there now. So I'm glad of that as well, because without that I wouldn't have probably, well, I don't know if I'd have come to teaching eventually anyway, but it was good to have done that course. It kind of gave me confidence. God, that was an amazing year, the teaching course. It was fierce, intense, because you had to learn the thing yourself, whatever you were going to be teaching, and then pass it on to teenagers in school that week. Like, I'm just getting another brush here now to carve back in. But that really helped me to focus on what it is I was learning myself in the particular way needed to be able to pass it on. So to find words somehow that would clearly explain the process. So it's one thing doing the thing, it's another thing altogether explaining how to do it, I reckon. But having said that, one of the most potent parts of that I think was the demonstrations, and the most appreciated things was we were encouraged, you know, to do that, to demonstrate as much as we could, and yet let the action speak as well, like the process, and making mistakes in the demonstration so that you could see how to recover from things or not. So this is just a clean damp brush that I'm using to carve back in and retrieve some light here. I'm not sure how successful this whole thing is, but it's causing me to be attentive anyway. Because I think the last few days what I've been loving about the oil paint is the capacity for it to really strengthen the texture of it being strong and viscous and buttery and thick. And now it's like the total opposite of that. What's happening here is something that's very understated, really. Very thin, hardly any pigment on there. And you might have noticed I'm still in the living room. Lily had a slightly later night last night. She was out with a friend, and so she's not got up yet. So I thought, look, I'll just do a quick thing in the living room again, because I haven't set up the studio and the garden for painting in yet. I might look back over the video of this and think, why didn't I stop ages ago? Or why did I do that? And filling in. I think I might lift off a little bit, just decrease the volume there. Quite a delicate thing, really. You know what? I might bite the bullet and do the dark in the background, because it might be one of the ways that I can just do less here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a go, knowing that it might be the wrong decision for the painting, but in terms of experimenting, to me that's the right decision. So, in the spirit of trial and error, here we go. I'm using ultramarine blue mixed with Van Dyke brown. Yeah, so I'm going to carve into the space here. Put a touch of white into that, because it's more Payne's grey colour that's in the background than pure dark. Here we go. I'm not going to do it everywhere, but I really quite like the shape of the parts, of the space between parts. So I'm happy enough to carve those out with the background colour. There we are. And I think the tulip has got such a clean edge to it that it seems important for there not to be any hairiness around the edge there. Okay, so that ended up coming in over the edge a little bit there. And just clean it off. With the other brush. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to carry on with the dark just a wee bit more down here. Brush that had the green on it now, but it's just a bigger brush that I can extend the colour out a little bit more and create the edge then where the tulip leaves meet the background. This is very wet, but I think it's going to be okay. It means that it increases the depth of tone there as we meet the leaf. I was going to go for a swim today, but instead I think what I'm going to do is find a good movie to watch and go back to bed. I hadn't even thought it was Mother's Day, but sure, that's quite a nice thing to do for myself for Mother's Day, isn't it? Just need to find a good movie now. You know how you hear of good movies when you don't have the time or the inclination to watch them, and then you forget when you're looking. I don't want to go sifting through Netflix or anything. I might actually read one of my books or something. Let's see. Hi Lily. I'm almost finished here. I'm just doing a little video. I might do a bit of laundry here. I think it's okay. It's just, I quite like the shapes that were carved out of the background by the tulip, and I think this explains those shapes a bit more substantially. I don't know, Lily. It's in the fridge, I think. The Caesar salad. Myself and Lily have had a few moonlight swims actually over at Gladhouse. We went in last summer at 11 o'clock at night. The two of us in the dark. It was fantastic. Not often situations like that arise. And at the beginning of that year, I think it was maybe the beginning of 2019 actually, Erin and Hope came as well, and we went into the sea at Cullen on New Year's Day. No, it was January the 2nd, because Hope had been out with her cousin the night before and wasn't up for it on the 1st of January. They had been to the Hogmanay party. But on the 2nd of January, my niece came with us as well, and we all went in. It was Baltic, but a fantastic start to the year and lovely to be with them. Quite good being able to see the image on the camera, on the iPad screen, I mean, because I can tell what needs to happen next a bit more easily. I've got that bit of distance. I quite like the shooting up thing, you see, so that's why I've just done one brush stroke to engage that flow that way. And then how it goes in that direction. But I think here maybe I could subdue that edge a little bit, make it a bit more gradual, the transition to the white. Just using some kitchen paper here. Okay, so Teresa Ahern is my mum. This is for you. The video, the painting as well, if I can, when it's dry I'll send it over. I never thought of that. Getting a bit trigger happy now with the subduing the background. I'll just print off some of the extreme dark that's there. It's like the background all needs to have a similar texture, so I felt I needed to lift off some of that. And I want to keep the clarity of the edge. Alright, I'm going to stop there. It's slightly annoying me at the edge there because there's a hair underneath on the paper, and it's been disturbing the shape of the top of that leaf, which anyway needs to be a bit smaller, so I can bring in the background to meet it. Touch there. Lily, do you know today is Mother's Day? Yeah. I forgot as well actually until last night. So I'm doing this video for my mum. Your granny. Thanks. Actually, Lily, it's quite a good gift that there's been no burping in my video today. Oh! You had to do it. I spoke too soon. Right, there's another leaf coming out here. Okay, right, I'm going to stop. Okay, I'll bring you a bit closer. And I'll take... Oh, oh, Lily. I'm just going to show them the flower. Can I just show them you there now with that? Or just the gift even? Look at that. She didn't forget. Isn't that lovely? Oh. And even a gift in a bag too. Even a gift in a bag. Right, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone here. I think it's maybe upside down. Anyway, that's the painting. And thanks for watching.